What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things Eating podcast, where Eric and I are eating on the podcast. I got chicken fingers from the diner. Weirdly enough, didn't come with any French fries. Too expensive for chicken fingers now. Now I'm a little mad. As the quintessential New Yorker here, diner food is 2 eggs any style, grilled cheese, or burger deluxe. If you get anything else, you're either 110 years old or have never been on this planet. You go to a diner, and there's like a very old couple getting full dinner because it comes with soup, salad, and dessert. Everyone else goes there and they're like, 2 eggs any style. How do you want them? Any style.
Whatever they feel like doing back there.
Basically what you do.
Because if you tell them, you might be in trouble.
The other thing is that diners on Long Island used to be pre-COVID. So many of them were 24 hours a day. You go out, you get wasted. On your way home, you stop by the diner so you can sober up before you have to go see your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Also, underage drinking is bad.
Yes. Do not support. I actually have a similar diner story. I'm just gonna go ahead and say not real diner. Okay.
That's fine.
This was not a real diner. But it's in the Hyatt. I think it's the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. The one right there next to Point Orlando. And we were all, I think we had been to, there's a Scottish pub. Well, it was a Scottish pub. I think it's turned to an English pub. I don't care. But they served flights of scotch.
Mm.
We had several.
Yeah.
And so we're walking back. It's 2:00 in the morning, right? And we know we need something to soak up all this alcohol. So we end up at that diner that's not a diner and had like copious amounts of breakfast food. And you know what? Actually felt pretty good the next day.
That's what I'm saying. Diners are great. Tell us about your diner experience. Facebook.com/group/All Things MSP.
Traditional vulnerability management is outdated, disruptive, and costly. Nodeware offers MSPs a better solution. Continuous 24/7 vulnerability scanning, even during business hours, with no network impact. Deploy it remotely via software agents and sensors, eliminating the need for extra hardware and on-site visits, saving you time and money. The multi-tenant dashboard with built-in remediation guidance and patch management makes it easy to identify, manage, and remediate vulnerabilities quickly, helping you better protect your clients. Visit atmsp.link/nodeware to learn more. Customers don't want to have their support call answered by a bot. And if a real live human being answers the phone, they don't want to have to struggle to understand them. What your customers do want is a tech support specialist who speaks plainly, clearly, and has the skills and knowledge to help solve their issue. You want your customers to enjoy that kind of excellent experience. Give your customers what they want without blowing your budget by partnering with Helped. Help's US-based experts answer 24/7 by 365, serving as your help desk. Check out atmsp.link/helped. That's atmsp.link/HELPT for more info.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar. With me always is Leonardo DiScruffio, Mr. Eric Anthony.
Oh, and there was no lack of beard insultments at PAX8 Beyond this week while we were both there.
Yeah.
In fact, I felt a little ganged up on by you and my wife.
In fact, just for the listeners, I've never met Eric's wife until earlier this week. We're recording this Friday the 13th. Woo! And earlier, Monday, Tuesday was PAX8 Beyond in Denver. I had never met Mrs. Anthony beforehand, and the second we met, we were like, we're going to become best friends and make fun of Eric, and that's exactly what happened for basically 2 days.
Yes.
I gotta be honest, I left Denver a little early. I wasn't feeling great. I think it was just like a mix of lack of sleep plus the the air, the thinning of the air. Plus, there were a lot of people, man. I have been to shows. I've never been to IT Nation, but like I have been to shows before. But there were like all in, what did they say, like 2,500 people.
I think that's a safe bet.
I feel bad for anyone else who went to the Gaylord Rockies to go on like a family vacation and then couldn't do anything in the hotel because PAX8 was literally everywhere.
True. But that's frequently what happens, in these conference hotels, especially during the week.
Yeah, 100%. There was some cool stuff at PAX8. I'll tell you, just off the top, like there was Podcast Row, which was really awesome. Got to see some of our friends. We did a lot of interviews. We'll talk about that in a bit. The exhibition booths where everybody was, a lot of water bottles, a lot of socks. We have to have a conversation about channel swag. Super Ops had a really big booth there with a bunch of magazines with my face on it, which I thought was awesome. Oh, did you steal a copy? Mine's in a closet over there. Yeah. Look at that. Check it out. YouTube.com/at All Things MSP. You can see Eric holding my face. There was an F1
simulator. Weird.
Yeah, I know. There was an F1 simulator for some reason, which I absolutely bombed at. But my friend, one of my guys, Fred, who was with me, did really, really well. The food was okay. It was hotel food. Nothing really to write home about. Starbucks was good. That's good. That was there. And I heard Snoop Dogg raise the roof. I don't know what kids say these days about Snoop Dogg. Actually, so one of my friends who was my friend Gene Reich, who we've talked to before from Traceless, was there, and he stayed. And I saw him actually on Thursday at an Apple event in New Jersey. And I was like, "Did you stay for Snoop?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "How was it?" And he goes, "People have really expected more out of him." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "He did like 2 songs, he DJ'd, and then he smoked 3 blunts on stage and called it a day." I was like, "I wouldn't expect anything better from Snoop Dogg."
Well, so here's kind of the scoop, because I got some backstage information on this.
Scoop on Snoop?
Yep, some scoop on Snoop. Evidently, because I don't know, well, you didn't probably go to DattoCon. I think this was 2-3 years ago when Shaq was there. Shaq was the special guest.
Shaquille O'Neal, Mr.
Yes,
Superman
O'Neal
himself. Yes.
Yes. Even put a Superman logo on his pool table. Ask me some other time how I know that. So evidently, if they bring them in as a performance act to do their songs, they have to pay the record label as well.
Yes.
If they bring them in as just a DJ, they can get around that requirement. So who knows if it's true or not, but that's what I was told. And, that seems to be what happened. Regardless, it was fun. We were there.
Yeah.
We didn't stay for the whole Snoop Dogg part of it, but we were there. Of course, I actually enjoy the Spasmatics, I think, a little bit more because it's more my era. But, I mean,
you're the kind of person who would call him Mr. Dog.
Probably.
But yeah, it was great. We spent a lot of time. Eric we had the All Things MSP had a podcast booth there, amongst a couple of other friends there. And we did a lot of interviews with a lot of vendors. That's coming soon. Eric has to edit up a lot of my mistakes because Denver plus Justin plus microphone equals not great. I mean, it was okay.
There may be some outtakes. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't this, that's for sure. And if you're the person who left that review that said, "I just listened to 30 minutes of them talking and not sure what has to do with MSPs," you're probably not going to like any of that content either.
That is totally not true because most of that content is definitely around MSPs. We did interview a lot of vendors this go around, which is not a bad thing, right? Because then we get to ask them the questions. You have two, a former MSP and a real current MSP asking questions about, the things that we think matter to you guys of these vendors. So I think that that definitely has value, and we'll continue to do it at these different shows as long as we continue to get invited. But Justin, what was maybe your favorite topic. I know what your not favorite topic was from PAX8. And we'll get into that later because I think it does need to be talked about.
I got to see a couple of sessions, and this is why I brought my team also, so that way they can go to the sessions and stuff like that. I think one of the good ones, it was one that I actually didn't even go to, unfortunately, but Monday night at dinner, my team and I we stepped out of the exhibition booth. We actually got real food at the restaurant that was there, and big ups to Erica and her assistant who was training who served us food, but they had gone to one of the sessions about basically the powerhouses of your staff, of your team. It was like a culture meets staffing thing, very managerial, which I thought was really good because one of the people I brought was Justin Gross. He's our director of operations, and he's trying to step into this role more about management of people, not hire fire, but like just understanding things. And there was a grid that he drew up, and the x-axis was technical skill and the y-axis was client communication, or like the ability to talk to clients, something
like soft skills.
Yeah. And so like not by any means of my own am the unicorn, because I have both the technical skills and the soft skills, even though I downplay my technical skills a lot. And so we sat and we like figured out where everyone else on our team was. And in doing that exercise, from what he had learned, like it kind of opened his eyes a little bit towards how and what we need to work on within our own team and build up some of those either technical or soft skills. And he also learned basically that like soft skills are way harder to teach than technical skills. And so especially, the funny part about this is that we're literally been talking about culture for the last 3 or 4 weeks internally. We have a little bit of a culture problem at Virtual that we're working on. And here it is, somebody else that neither of us know, because again, Apple people in a PC world, telling them stuff that I've basically been telling them for a couple of weeks now, which one makes me feel good about the fact that I'm on the right track, because like I'm preempting and I did the same thing at Aces, I think, where I was like, everything that was being said at Aces, I told my team like in January. So it was good. And it was good for them to see it from someone else other than me, I think is the bigger part, right? Getting that validation from whoever was doing that culture presentation really meant something. So I think that was a big one for us. It was a lot of takeaways.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was one of the benefits, is that there was a lot of those types of sessions that got away from the AI and technical sessions that were prevalent as well, right?
If one more person tells me that their unified platform is powered by AI, I swear I'm going to just go on a murderous rampage.
Well, that's why, because we're also in the mode of doing these Pitch It 2025 interview game show things. And
Yeah.
so one of the things I make them do as part of that interview is give me their elevator pitch without using buzzwords, which can be difficult if you don't, really practice. And, I see it a lot when you walk around the trade show floor and you look at their backdrops or their banners or whatever they've got, and they're just buzzwords. And you're like, I mean, I know what the buzzwords mean, but what do you do? Right?
There was someone I was talking to, I'm not going to mention who was applying for a job, and he told me, because I was talking to him about this buzzword problem, and he was telling me that he interviewed with this company. He got through like 3 rounds of interviews, and not once did anyone that was interviewing him could tell him what the company did without using buzzwords. And he was like, I still don't know what you do. I'm not going to take this job. Like, he went through 3 rounds of interviews and then said no to the job because the company couldn't explain what they did without the marketing buzzword thing. Like, I know this, what's really funny about this is like, this is not a new problem. 2011, 2012, when I used to go to South by Southwest Venture to Venture out in Vegas, there was one year, and I said this on the pod before, like there was one year we were on a bus going from the strip up to like, I want to say the outlets or near the outlet. Oh no, we were going to downtown because we were going to go see Zappos headquarters. It was like a big thing. And I was like, hey, who wants to play a game? And everyone's like, yeah, let's play a game. And I was like, make up a company and tell me what you do using only buzzwords. And like, it was so easy to play this game because everyone's like, I'm going to disrupt the normality with synergistic energies, right? Because that's what it was in 2011. Fast forward to Silicon Valley, that show that was on HBO. If you remember the season finale of series 1, first season, every company that's up there is like, we are social, local, and mobile. So mo low mo so low mo low so low mo. Like, it's the same thing now, right? Everybody's got a unified dashboard. Everyone's got AI. Everyone's got an AI unified dashboard. Like, Jesus H. Christ, Eric. I sound like an old man when I'm complaining about it, but like the fact is like, even if I was like, okay, cool, give me a little bit more, tell me a little bit more, and they would repeat it back out, and I'm like, what do you do? What's your core competency?
So first of all, I have to share. The thought that just went through my head as you were saying that was, we need a t-shirt of you saying, get off my AI manicured lawn.
Done. Available at atmsp.link/t-shirts.
Yeah, something like that.
And if that doesn't work, it will by the time this.
Yeah, by the time
2 weeks after this goes out.
But there's so much, and I guess this is a good place to transition to the AI conversation, right?
Do we
because we do, because it was a huge thing at
it was a huge thing.
PAX8,
and a lot of it there, yeah.
And look, I think a lot of us feel like AI is being overdone. Being in the press briefing, I actually got the feeling that PAX8 is kind of headed in the right direction when it comes to not necessarily AI in their platform, although obviously they're going to be using that, but AI as the next service that MSPs are going to provide, and not just the things we've talked about already, right? By putting policies in place or giving them training or making sure you're putting guardrails around how AI is being used within the workplace, but going the next step farther, which is going to be agentic AI, where you're actually going to be managing what are almost kind of like virtual employees, or the way I kind of thought about it was they're virtual robots, right? They just have a digital presence rather than a mechanical presence. And I think it is going to take somebody like an MSP who has that local knowledge of an individual business to be able to support the services that are going to have to be around the management of AI agents for small to medium-sized business.
Possibly. The only thing that keeps coming to my mind about this AI thing is Apple just put out a report about AGI, right? Like the I forget which acronym that's standing for exactly, but it's about generative AI, right? And it ran so many tests to see if it was like literally generating new content or if it was just spitting out the same stuff. And they basically declared that generative AI is just autocorrect. Like, that's the problem.
Fair.
I think we all think that AI right now is Data from Star Trek, Cyborg from DCU. Like, I'm trying to think of other like robots that in pop culture history that like
in disguise.
Yeah, no, those robots were not in disguise. They were giant robots that turned into trucks in a Volkswagen Beetle. And those were autonomous life automatons. This will be cut. Automaton life forms. Those were not AI. My point being that like humans think that the AI is going to be smarter than we are, or whatever it is. And we've debunked this multiple times. We've done these things. If we stop trying to think of AI as something that's going to replace us, because it can't, and more of it's a helper tool, and more of it can help us build efficiencies the right way. That's not all, again, though, that's not really AI so much as automations that are maybe a little bit better at figuring stuff out. Like I do like the fact in some of my tools now where I can do filters for something, I can type English sentences and it will figure out the filter, as opposed to me understanding Boolean math to like, I want this. Right. I want all computers that are Mac OS 15 4.1 through 15 4.3 better than Mac OS version is less than 15.1 and then greater than, because I can never remember which one's which. You know, like that I like.
Yeah. And to your point, I don't think it's not that they're smarter, because they obviously aren't. We've proven that already. But it's that they're faster. And so I think for them to translate your English into an algorithm is faster than you translating your English into an algorithm. Right. It's not that it's smarter, it's just faster at it.
But I think we all need to like collectively agree what this really is. And again, I'm not anti-AI. I'm just anti-AI in everything. Like I'm on ChatGPT all the time, right? How do you think I come up with amazing nicknames like Hugh Jackman over there or Harry Styles? Like that's not my humor, right? I mean, it's my type of humor, but it's not my humor. But at the same time, you know, every PSA vendor under the sun is like now with AI, and it's like, what is it doing for me?
Well, you know? I mean, to be honest, it could do some useful stuff, right? Just like you just described. Tell me all of my customers that don't have product X in their stack.
But it doesn't do that. It could. It doesn't. Right. That's my problem. What it does right now, what everyone's pitching to me is we can triage you when you get an email that says like, hey, I need my password reset. It can auto send an email back out. That's not AI. AI would be go through my data and figure this thing out. Again, though, not AI. That's just translating English to algorithms or English to SQL or however you want to look at it, right? That's not really what AI as in the idea of artificial intelligence is. That's my problem. I really just think that this is just a nomenclature problem. Like if we had start calling it smarter automation.
Yeah, I mean, because I think
that doesn't roll off the tongue.
I think that speaks to what I would call this, because most people look at AI as a replacement for human tasks, where I believe it is much more of an augmentation of human tasks.
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. You know, I do like the fact that I can throw a table, you know, an Excel document into ChatGPT, because Excel is so stupid that it can't tell that April comes after January, even though they're marked as dates. And I go put this in date order, right? The ChatGPT can, right? And it'll spit it back out. The problem is, and I said this, I think this was like episode like 12, which shows you how long I've had this problem. I got it to do it once, and the next time it was like, I can't do that. I can't do that, Hal. Like, or Dave, sorry. I can't do that, Dave. Why not? Because I don't feel like it. I don't screw you, robot. Like those like the cutesy BS that the programmers have put in to allow ChatGPT and those services to like have an attitude with me. You can bleep this. Fuck off.
Well, and that's bringing it back around to PAX8, right?
Okay.
I think that PAX8 is looking at not how can we add those whiz bang little features, right, that everybody else is adding, but can we do really cool things like ask, you know, our PAX8 environment questions about, our different clients that we're selling items through PAX8 to. That was something that was just announced at PAX8 Beyond as a coming feature. They're talking about what AI may look like in the future for an MSP. And I think, quite honestly, for me, agentic AI, while I love the idea that I'm going to be able to take these groups of agents who have specific knowledge and group them together and have them perform tasks, which is really just automation with some fuzzy logic, right? But the other half of me goes, first of all, as it stands right now, they're not very good at what they're doing. They're only good at copying what we've done already. Yeah. But number two, they do it at such a fast rate that it becomes very dangerous when mistakes happen. I had a conversation, and this is one of the recorded conversations that'll come out in the next couple of weeks. But I had a conversation with Matt Lee, and he talked about it this way. During the Industrial Revolution, there were a lot of injuries. A lot of people got hurt during the Industrial Revolution, figuring out how to do things and make things with machines. Right?
Yeah.
The difference then was it was limited to one factory or an area where there were a lot of factories where you had these, I don't think there's any other word to use, but tragedies, right? For these individuals. The problem with AI and technology is that this has the ability to spread out so far, so fast that the potential impact of the damage could be much, much greater than the experimentation, for lack of a better word, during the Industrial Revolution. And that, my friend, especially here on Friday the 13th, scares me just a little bit.
Especially with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours in the world. Yeah, 100%. I don't hate AI. I think there's a time and a place for it. I think that we as an industry need to get over the newness of it. I think that's the other thing. I think everyone still thinks it's this brand new hot to trot thing. It's been around for over a year now. And in the industry that we're in, things that are 3 weeks old are already old, right? You take a computer out of the box and it's obsolete, right? And I think there should be, again, I already said this earlier, we should really be calling it what it is. It could be called automation plus plus. We love adding pluses to things, right? Ubiquity just released POE plus plus plus. At that point, come up with a new name. But the use case for it, I like the idea of what PAX8's doing, right? I would love to be able to just go into my PAX8 portal and be like, show my other clients that are on business standard versus business premium, so I can move them over or whatever. Show me where I'm losing money. Those things that would normally take more time, and asking, being able to ask an English question and getting results back in relatively real time, as opposed to having to do all that work. Yes, efficiency is all there, and that's what it's good for. But that's not. Again, I just keep coming back to the nomenclature thing. That being said, from an MSP work perspective, as opposed to me just complaining on the show, I've had a bunch of clients come to me so far and be like, what are we going to do about ChatGPT? And I always say to them, well, what do you want to do about it? It's not going anywhere, right? But you didn't come to me and say, what are we going to do about Bitcoin, or what are we going to do about NFTs? So why are you so worried about this one? And I'm not one to write policies. I'm not very good with English, and I don't trust ChatGPT to be any better than me. But it comes down to just what is the risk tolerance that the organization wants to have and build into it, right? And yeah, as the MSP, you could make money writing policies, or you can make money the easy way, and that is get yourself a master agent or technology broker, whatever they're calling themselves these days, and connect your client with somebody like a cybersecurity firm who can write the policies for you, right? And this way you still make a little buck. I'd rather make money on the side and let someone else do the work than me attempt to write an AI policy for my customers.
Well, I think that's a great point. because it's not your bread and butter. It's not what you do on a daily basis is write policies, right? So if you can find somebody else who can, I think that is definitely a benefit to you because you're still making money, right? You decide what margin you mark that up to sell to your clients. And I think that's also, by the way, because I know you're probably tired of talking about AI at this point.
Oh my God. So tired.
Brings up another conversation that I'd love to get your take on, because I don't know if you had any interviews that went in this direction, but I had several that kind of went in this direction. And I'm seeing it in more and more places, and I'm seeing more and more MSPs leverage it. And it ties into exactly what you just said. And that is vendors providing professional services to the MSP to take advantage of that scaling factor of using outside services to augment the MSP. And I don't mean just from a like outsourced help desk, but say you're onboarding a new client, right? And well, we'll use my day job for this example, right? We'll use Ignite for the example. And when you have a customer, especially if they have a large amount of data and you want to migrate them over to Ignite and you don't want to do it yourself, Ignite has a professional services team who can do that for you. I had a lot of conversations with PAX8 executives actually around how MSPs are leveraging professional services more and more, especially those that are trying to grow rapidly, because you don't have to hire a full-time employee to do this work. You can go outside, get this work done, and then stop paying for it. Where with a full-time employee, once you bring them on, it's a commitment, right? And so more and more of these vendors in this space are offering professional services. But I think the more interesting piece is that more and more MSPs who traditionally are very independent people, Justin.
I'm listening.
I know. No, I meant you're very, very independent.
Oh.
But so was I. When I was an MSP, I still am. Who am I kidding? But
what you're talking about is using vendors to white label service. You're using MSPs can white label services from vendors is what you're getting at.
But it's not just the traditional, we're reselling a software as a service. It's actually reselling hands-on people services.
So what's funny, you're talking about this because this isn't foreign to us. Virtua has done that for people in the past where we get called in, or when I first started in this industry, this is a great story. When I first started in this industry on my own, I'd already worked for like 4 years for a company. And when I was on my own, I joined what at the time, it's still currently, but it's changing soon, the Apple Consultants Network. And I came in with a certification that like no one else in the program had because I was like a Apple certified server administrator. It was like a much harder exam. And so I positioned myself to these people because I was still trying my business as a consultant for consultants. And so like they used to send me in to deal with the very complex server stuff. And I would say, hi, I'm here from so-and-so company or XYZ company or whatever. And I mean, in any given day, I work for 4 or 5 different companies. And it was just white labeling Virtua services. So like Virtua billed these other consultants. And so the consultants paid Virtua paid me. So there's like a lot of trailing here. But like that kind of thing, and we still do that now, especially with PC companies who don't want to do Mac. They bring us in, we just go under their title and try to provide as best of a class of service as possible. There's nothing wrong with that. This isn't a new thing. It's just that I think more vendors are starting to offer it. And I think this is a good thing. Now, you said something about companies wanting to scale up quickly. Don't do that because you're going to trip over your own feet, right? But if there's something that you need, not always is there a community of people. You know, again, we've had this conversation. Like the Apple community is a very different community than on the PC MSP side, right? And if I need something, I can just go to the Mac admin Slack and ask somebody for something and they'll get it. On the PC side, I don't know of anything that exists like that. And if I'm wrong, please send me your hate mail at facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. But like, the being able to bring in a company like us or any other vendor to help solve the problem, that's a great thing to do. So you can either go with a master agent or technology broker. I always call them a master broker. I was like mashing the two together to do that, or find another person who can, because the thing is, like, if you're a single person or a 2-person shop, you might not be skilled in Intune deployment for 100 to 500 devices. You may want to find a way to, like, how to manage it, but you don't know how to do the actual deployment. So, like, bring in a company to help with that for sure. I'm all about that.
Yep. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate PAX8? Even though I know you didn't get to go to a lot of sessions, but just the vibe, the trade show floor, all that.
I'm gonna give it a solid PAX8 out of PAX8.
Oh.
No, I'll give it like a 7.5, 8. I thought the trade show floor was massive. I didn't know what to expect coming in. I think their branding was on point. I think the font choice for their website was poor. I thought the activities that they had planned out was really good. I think their schedule was good, but I think the way to get to their schedule was not good. And I actually talked to some PAX8 reps about this before. Here's the one thing that beefs me more than anything else, honestly, and I showed you this, is on our badges, there was like a little flip, because they were going with that like train theme, because everything was like maps or whatever. And it said the number of PAX8 Beyonds you've attended before, and mine said 0. And I was like, no, this is my first one. It should say 1. So I think they're not a marketing firm, but they can definitely probably get some out. You can white glove virtuous services to help you with your marketing, PAX8. If you're here, if you're listening to me, Eric, not you, Eric, Eric Torres, right? If you're listening, dude, call me. Actually, I sent an email to him earlier today anyway, so he's going to call me no matter what. But yeah, I think it was a good event. I know that I'm going to answer for my team who went. I'm going to say that they were like an 8 and an 8.5, because they took a lot of notes and they came back and they were jazzed and they learned a lot, and they're already, we left on Tuesday, right? Tuesday night, Wednesday, and it's Friday, and they're already like implementing things and wanting to do stuff. And Fred on my team has set up demos with a couple of vendors who we saw. And there's like the thing about going to a conference, whether it's PAX8 or any of them, is that, and we've talked about this on our conference episode, is that it energizes you to do things. It's the question of, can you keep that momentum going? Because you can't go to every show. And if you go to every show, you're not gonna have time to work on the stuff that you're getting energized about, right? So it's, can you take something back that energizes you to make your business better and like push through that? And I used this expression with my team earlier today. We're rebuilding the boat while it's on the ocean.
Yeah.
And, we'll either make it or we'll drown. But I'm not the kind of person who would let us drown.
Right.
So it's one of those things where we're going to take back the stuff that we learned and make holistic, not big swinging changes, but enough small to medium changes that it feels like a nice big shift in our business to make our business better. So yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Okay. I'll probably give it a little bit higher as a podcaster, because they were very attentive to the podcasters' needs, and they invited way more podcasters than I think I've seen at any other event like this. And so for them to be that inclusive, I think was very good. I think the way that they set us up was good. Everybody had their own little section, and even though we were pretty close to each other, I think, as far as our recordings go, it wasn't a problem for us. And I talked to a couple of others, and it wasn't a problem for them.
It's because I'm louder than all of them.
But yeah, I think that worked out really well. I appreciate that they scheduled PAX8 executives to talk to us. That was really nice. Had some really great conversations that I know you guys are going to be looking forward to. And because I know I'm looking forward to hearing them again. A lot of great stuff around not only AI, which was definitely a big topic, but also around the professional services and all of the other things like training is a big thing at PAX8. And so there was a lot around that as well. And not just that they're coming out with more training, but they're coming out with new ways for you to engage with the training that makes it more customized and relevant to the things that you want to see.
Yeah. I big shout out to the other podcasters that were there. If anyone cares, I'm going to end up on a bunch of their shows coming soon. So if you see Justin Esgar at PAX8, you'll know that I did my due diligence and just like I snuck in and tried to get on everybody's show. I just wanted to take over. It's really weird. I did like me. And then like there's 2,500 people. I'm like, I don't care about any of them. I'm gonna be on everybody's show. I think I missed 2 shows. The guy next to us and the women in tech one because I'm clearly not.
Yeah, you probably are not qualified for that one.
You did ask me, and I'm not going to share my answer on the air of like how I'm going to get on that show, but it was funny. Yeah. Well, PAX8, they announced already PAX8 next year is going to be in Salt Lake City. So I'm excited for that. I will probably go back or at least send my team unless I'm doing more work with you. I think there's, like I said, I think there's always something to gain from any show that you go to, big or small. And if you're not sure if you should go to a show, ask us, post it in the Facebook group. That's what we're here. Facebook.com/group/all things MSP.
And you don't have to just ask us. The entire group is there to answer those kinds of questions. And they will definitely give you their opinions.
I know some people from the group were at PAX8. I only found that out today because a couple of people had just posted. I wish I knew there was going to be more stuff. Next time we go to a show, I'm putting you on the air on the spot for this one. Next time we go to a show, we should do like a All Things meetup.
So we have done one in the past. I forget where it was. It was very early on. It was before you and I started doing the podcast, actually, I think.
Right.
So it was more than 2 years ago.
Doesn't count.
Which doesn't count, yeah. Nothing before then counted because
nothing. You have BP before podcast, AP after podcast.
Okay. I think that's probably a great place to end this episode for today.
So this way, everybody could be after the podcast. Well, yay! Check us out, facebook.com/group/all things MSP. Check out all the YouTube glory and probably Eric and I eating during the cold open at youtube.com/all things MSP. Follow us on all of your favorite podcasting tools. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Hey, Brad Stubble, you got any other last words to say?
Just that the beard ain't going nowhere.
GBTs for the win for the beard jokes. Love it. Also, Amy hates it. Cut it off. That's Eric. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. A special thank you to our elite sponsor, CoreView, helping you manage your Microsoft 365 tenants instead of them managing you. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, GoZinta, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.